Hello there, thanks for joining us. In this video, we're going to be answering a question we get asked all the time. Is a Canadian permanent resident the same as a citizen? And if not, what are the differences? We'll have more for you after the break. As always, remember to like this video so others can see more videos like this. Subscribe to our channel and check us out on our website at go.gooselaw.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back. My name is Donovan Francis and I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer, and I help skilled workers who are inside Canada and those who are outside Canada to become Canadian permanent residents without having to deal with all of the complexities that are part of that process. Now, one of the questions that we get asked oftentimes by clients and prospective clients is, are Canadian permanent residents the same as Canadian citizens? Well, the answer to that question is no, there's a difference between the two. Just to give you a little bit of context, inside Canada, there are, broadly speaking, three categories of persons living in Canada. There's a general group that's called temporary residents, and this group is comprised of students, international students who are here temporarily studying in Canada and who will be returning home after they've completed their studies here. There are also work permit holders. These are foreign nationals who are inside Canada working on work permits and who will return to their home countries when they're done working, unless they decide to extend their stay inside Canada. And of course, there are also going to be tourists, visitors who are here temporarily, who themselves will be returning to their home countries. So those three groups, broadly speaking, fit into the general category of temporary residents. Now, separate and apart from temporary residents, there are also permanent residents, Canadian permanent residents. And as the name suggests, these are residents of Canada who are here permanently, and they're authorized to remain in Canada on a permanent basis. The third group of persons would be Canadian citizens who are also here permanently, but they enjoy rights that Canadian permanent residents don't enjoy. They enjoy all the rights that any citizen inside Canada can possibly enjoy. So that would be Canadian citizens. And so what then is the distinction? What then is the difference between a Canadian permanent resident and a Canadian citizen? Well, first off, a Canadian permanent resident does not have the right to vote inside Canada, whereas a Canadian citizen does. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that a Canadian permanent resident does not have the right to run for public office, to become a holder of public office inside Canada, whereas this is a right that Canadian citizens enjoy. In addition, Canadian permanent residents are not able to hold certain high security type jobs, government jobs, whereas Canadian citizens have the ability to do so. In addition, there is a requirement that Canadian permanent residents must renew their permanent residency card when it expires every 5 years. So generally speaking, Canadian citizens are entitled to Canadian passports, but Canadian permanent residents are not entitled to Canadian passports. What they get instead are permanent residency cards. Now, these cards expire every 5 years and must be renewed. And there is a requirement that a Canadian permanent resident, upon renewing the card, they must have been physically present in Canada for at least 2 years in the last 5-year period, leading up to the point in time when they would have been applying to have their PR card renewed. So that's another difference between the two. It's also important to note that a Canadian permanent resident is at risk of having their status, of losing their status as a Canadian permanent resident if certain things were to happen. For instance, if that permanent resident were found to have not met what's known as a residency requirement, which is the requirement that they be physically inside Canada for at least 2 years in the last 5 years, then that permanent resident is at risk of losing their status as a permanent resident in Canada, whereas a citizen would not have to face that risk. And of course, there are other ways in which a Canadian permanent resident may also lose their status as a PR, and we've addressed those in a separate video. But the bigger point is that that is the difference between being a PR and a permanent resident and a citizen, that being that the permanent resident is also at risk of having their status revoked or at risk of losing their status, whereas a citizen does not face that risk. And so I trust you found some value from this video and that we've provided some clarity on the differences between a Canadian permanent resident and a Canadian citizen. As always, please go ahead, subscribe to our channel so you can see more videos like this video, so other people may see more videos like this, and check us out on our website at go.gooselaw.com. Thank you.